Hello again, Michael Friedberg here from beautiful North Carolina, already on its road to recovery. First things first, big shout out to Josh and Jesse, hope you enjoy. Well, as I'm sure you all realize, I of course receive a variety of offers to review shaving products, but I sometimes receive offers to review things that are related to shaving and sometimes to review things that are not at all related to shaving. So for example, recently I have received and of course turned down an offer to review a standing desk, not really part of the shaving channel that I run. But I have received a very cool item from Nutsac. It's their Dopp Kit, and I know what you're thinking, kind of ballsy choice for the name, but rolls off the tongue. So what they've sent me is the Dopp Kit, and it is a sort of a mixed materials. It has a full grain leather bottom, which has got a really nice, good, sturdy feel to it, and then stitched to it is what's known as waxed canvas. It has this kind of cool flat pocket, which I'll talk about in just a moment, but these are brass snaps, and the handle also snaps apart, which is kind of a cool touch. I would describe this as a mid-sized Dopp Kit. Now, I am not going to hold on to this. I'm going to pass this on to a colleague who apparently has never actually owned a Dopp Kit, and we're going to rectify that on Monday if all goes well. But as you can see, very nice, simple interior. There are no additional pockets or anything on the inside. I have at least one that had kind of an inside, like a waterproof pocket, but I really ended up never really using that pocket for anything. This outside pocket, however, which I think will be great for keeping something like your comb separate from your toothbrush, which might be inside here, as well as things like razor blades. Anything that's really flat, I think will fit inside that pocket quite nicely. It's got a nice sturdy feel to it. I actually did a test pack of this thing, and I loaded in there a full-size tube of toothpaste, my toothbrush, full-size deodorant, Flonase, my razor, a brush, some shaving soap, some aftershave. I put the comb and some razor blades into this side pocket, and I think there was still plenty of room. But bear in mind, this is not one of those giant-sized Dopp Kits. I would definitely go with the mid-range. Now, this waxed canvas apparently is going to stay waterproof or water-resistant for a very long time. There's apparently no need to retreat it. I really like this thing, and if I didn't already have a Dopp Kit, I would hold on to this. But I know that my colleague at work has never had one and is in need of one, so I'm going to be very pleased to pass this on. So there you go, the Nutsac, made in the USA, very cool mixed material Dopp Kit. So thank you very much for that. All right, we have a continued cavalcade of products to review for today. We're going to start off with the soap, which is going to be from Henri et Victoria, all the way from Quebec, Canada. This is the original version of the soap. Now, they released a sort of a V2 of the vegan formula. The ingredients look the same, except with the addition of some butters. This is what I would describe as, in the scheme of things, a very straightforward, simple soap. It only has a few ingredients, which I will hope you can see those there. This is not one of those super fatted soaps with a variety of additional ingredients. It is a straightforward soap that reminds me a great deal of Le Perlucien. It is dentable, so hard-ish, beautiful light color, and the scent. And the reason I picked this soap over the others is that this is the Chestnut L'Orange, and it smells of chestnuts and a light mix of orange. So and it just smells really, really good. It is not a traditional shaving soap scent at all. Some of the others are a bit more, well, I mean, they're supposed to be described as eccentric, but for me, this is a kind of a very clear standout. It just smells really good. It's got a really nice mix of the citrus and the chestnut. Just a delicious, delicious scent. I have that pressed with the Chaplain's Choice loading bowl, which I'll get to in just a moment. Today's razor is going to be the 1948 to 1950 Gillette Aristocrat, which is loaded with if I can get the doors open so you can see. I hope you can see that, a Gillette Silver Blue on its second use. I'm going to go and make sure the doors are good and tight. I actually didn't do that last time. It was a little loose when I started shaving. So take care. Now let's get to the brush. I mean, I know there's so many things to cover for today. I hope I get this name right. This is the second Zenith brush that I have. So you remember last week, very floppy brush when wet. This is the Zenith B03-A26. Now, I know what you're thinking. You thought poetry was dead, but when you hear a name like that and you realize it just enlivens the soul, well, there you go. Aluminum handle, boar brush, much more to my taste than the previous one, because this has got a nice deal of backbone, a nice bit of spread. It splays pretty easily, but not a lot, and has a good deal of scrub. So I've had this soaking for a little bit. That's on loan to me, and I'll be sad to see it go. It gives me a chance to buy one of my own. We're going to start off, however, with another new product, but this is also from Henri B03-A26. This is the Nautilus scent in the Preshave oil. So I am going to use a Preshave for today. I'm going to wet my face and then apply this. This Preshave oil reminds me a great deal of the Floyd Preshave oil, in that it is a little bit more viscous, a little more heavy and thick, and at least in the times I've used it, I think I used it twice this week, it persists throughout the first pass and into the second and third pass, which is not often the case with Preshave oil. So it comes like in this little plastic test tube. This is just the sample size, obviously. This is my only issue here, is that in fact this part of the whole process is a little bit iffy, because you've got to hold this thing. It's not really clean and easy to get this stuff out, but when you buy the bottle, obviously that's not the case. The Nautilus is a kind of a light oceanic scent, and to me, although pleasant, it's not a patch on the Chestnut L'Orange. Of the two, for me, it's an easy choice. All right, work that in a little bit. Now, as you probably know, I'm not a frequent user of Preshave oils, but I have the soap, which I purchased at the Madrid meetup. I received, as part of that meetup, a sample of both the Preshave oil and the Aftershave in a different scent, which is the Cuban Cigar and Cognac Aftershave. So that's what I'll be closing out the shave with. All right, let's get lathering. You can see the soap. I'm sorry, the Preshave oil, nice, light, thin, sleek layer. Don't over apply. There's really no need to use a lot of that. There's the soap and loading bowl, relatively dry brush, and just go ahead and start loading. Now this starts off like a lot of soaps, as you can see, a little bit foamy and airy, but that is only because a relatively dry brush and just starting to agitate it around the sides. I'm gonna dip my fingers, just put a bit of water in there, just a few drops. And you can see that starts to come together again already pretty quickly. Now, as I said, this is, in the scheme of things, compared to many artisan soaps, a relatively straightforward, simple recipe, but that should not cause you any concern or, make you sort of discount the soap as a good option. It just means you just need to know what you're purchasing. All right, a bit more water. As you can see, already starting to form a good deal of lather in there. That may look a little bit loose for the moment, but that's going to come together quite nicely. There we go. Now, I have found that this soap, if you do not use enough water, I think you're cheating yourself out of the slickness you can get. You can see it's already starting to come together there nicely. This brush, by the way, is fantastic. The handle to me feels a little, a little thin maybe. When it's light, obviously it's aluminum, but I would of course go for, if I could, for a wood handle, something like that, but that's just my personal taste. The knot is really spot on. Fair amount of backbone, but not too much. See, that's a good sign to me. That's got a nice sort of dense, creamy feel to it. Really enjoying this brush, and it's certainly, if I was going to go for like a custom boar brush, what I may do is buy one of these and then just remove the knot from the handle. Because these brushes, I think they run for something like €8 or €9, so that's, relatively speaking, very cheap. Alright, I don't know about you, but I like the way that looks quite a bit. A little thick and heavy. I'm going to add just a touch of water to that. The soap really does benefit from being relatively wet, by the way, so if you find that you're not getting the slickness you expect, I would say add a touch of water. There we go. That looks pretty good to me. Make sure I don't get any soap in my mouth. None of these soaps taste good. I don't care how good they smell. None of them taste good. All right, just warm up the razor, and here we go for the starting pass. Let's go. With the grain, 2 days of growth as always. Yeah, so my first impression of the soap has pretty much persisted. And it is a slick soap, but of course in contrast to some of the other soaps that just have these additional butters and fats in them, this soap feels slick, but it doesn't have this sort of same level of protection in there. So if you like that extra layer, where the Preshave oil comes into play, that's one part of it. On the flip side, very simple, very easy to use, and slickness is great. As you can see, the Preshave oil really had no impact on building a lather. I have had some soaps in the past, particularly with the Floyd Preshave oil. You could definitely tell there was a soap obviously is binding to the oil. Now that is also one downside of a more viscous Preshave, is that you run the risk a little bit of some clogging where you might otherwise not have it, and I find it more difficult to clean the sink afterwards. The other thing about this razor, though, what I remember it being as a very comfortable, easy to use, not as comfortable as I remember somehow, but I've had some really brilliant shaves this week. Taking it easy on these very last hairs as well, just trying to remind myself, don't overdo it. They grow in such an awkward way. They grow really flat along the skin at an angle in that part of the skin where it dips in. There we go. All right, let's rinse. Yeah, and you can immediately feel this very slick residual layer, and certainly a bit of the oil still in play. All right, let's go and get lathered up. As you can see, plenty of lather in there. And in fact, I'm probably going to pull out some of the lather for the third pass. There's still a ton in the bowl. Yeah, I gotta say, the scent, definitely pronounced out of the container. It is a little bit less in use. It's there, but it's not like a strong scent during the shave. Yeah, very good sort of creamy, slick feel to the soap. You know, it's one of those moments too, you have to remind yourself, don't get pulled into always having to chase the new thing, because there is a new version of this soap out there, but the fact that there's a new version doesn't somehow magically make this version of the soap bad. If this was good, it's going to stay good even though there may be a better version of it. And there's also no guarantee that you're going to like that new version better than the version you have. So, if you're wondering, am I going to try that new version? Well, I hope so in the future, but there's still so many other products to get through that's going to have to come later. All right, this is going to be the across the grain pass. If you're wondering, yes, there is a ton of soap running down my arm. There we go. Just watching the pressure. Just good to remind yourself during the shave, just a light touch. There we go. Yeah, so I've been just taking it a bit easier on the bottom part here and not trying to get every possible last hair, just to let that skin kind of recover. All right, mustache. There is a touch of overhang on this razor, so that's just but you know, it is definitely there. So here's where you got to watch, at least for me. Very easy to catch the edge of your nostril right there. Especially because for me, the hair grows right up and under it. I know I've had questions about why I don't shave against the grain on my mustache. I just hate how it feels. I can do it with some razors, but just normally speaking, I just hate how it feels. So does that mean that my mustache is perfectly clean when I press my fingers that way? No, but it doesn't matter to me at all. All right, let's rinse again. Still very slick, but at this point, that pre-shave oil is pretty much gone. There may be a tiny touch of it still. Okay, I'm gonna pull out some of the soap from the loading bowl and just, oh my God, well, I'm going to try to get it out. Without making too much of a mess. I don't want to waste it. There we go. Just try to squeeze some of that lather out. Man, this brush is really good. Great combo with the soap. You can just see how sort of dense and creamy that soap is. It looks like I had one small raised spot right there, but not to worry. It's not actually a cut. Well, it's a cut, but you know what I mean. I think I would describe that as an unexpected elevation in the terrain. All right, let's dry my hands. Final pass against the grain. Now, here is where with this razor, this is where I thought, yeah, this is not quite as comfortable as I remember, but man, I've had some very, very close to BBS shaves this week. Yeah, nice. Still a lot of slickness in the soap. And like I said, if you feel like the soap is not as slick as it could be, I would recommend adding a bit more water. I can definitely still feel this is very easily irritated, prone to like very small nicks or spots of blood. I think it's important too, also to listen to your skin. So if you keep overdoing it, or you realize that for certain razors, like there's a spot on your neck where you just always irritated with that razor, change how you use it. There we go. All right, we're gonna call it right there. And I am still, you can see, if I press it too much right there, I'm gonna start getting a bit of redness and irritation. So stop right there. All right, go ahead and rinse off my face. It's a great combo. Soap and that brush. The brush works really well. The soap is a little reluctant. It's not very easy to rinse. Definitely good residual slickness there. There we go. Towel off the rest. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Now, the other thing about the soap is that, at least in my experience, definitely post-shave right now, there's a bit of a slick layer, but I think it was either 1 or 2 days this week where I went without any kind of post-shave product at all, and this soap is, at least for me, is a little bit drying, but that's really, I think, not much of a surprise given the ingredients. There just isn't that additional sort of post-shave skincare stuff added in there, and I think that this layer of slickness may well still be a touch of the pre-shave oil. So that's just maybe an added benefit of the pre-shave. So let's now splash on, but carefully. This is the Cognac and Cuban Cigars Aftershave Splash. So this, if I remember correctly, this is a mix of witch hazel and alcohol. My experience is this is a big alcohol hit compared to many of the others that are a witch hazel and alcohol mix. Again, you just have to be very careful dispensing this. This is easier than the pre-shave oil, obviously, because the thing is easier to hold. But I'm just going to drip. Oh, hopefully not too much. Yeah, big hit on the alcohol. Fades away almost right away. So what I get from this aftershave scent is initially kind of the rich sweetness of a cognac that you've been sort of warming or swirling a little bit, with the hint of the cigar, maybe a touch of leather in there. But unfortunately for me, because I am very sensitive to things like cigarette smoke and cigar smoke, the tobacco scent begins to dominate, and for me it starts to tip over in too much of that smoky sort of the, not really ashtray scent, but sort of, yeah, it's, smoking. So for me, this is not the scent that I would pick of the ones that I could choose. Aftershave itself is fine. It's got a bit of slickness to it, which I think is the aloe in there. Initial hit from the alcohol, and then the witch hazel, which should be sort of cooling. Scent is relatively strong when you put it on, and it lingers for a while, but it's not a tremendously long-lived aftershave splash. All right, wow. There we go. Not bad. Not bad. As you can see, just have to watch these spots here again. We'll see in the coming weeks how that goes. All right, let's try to tear through all the things that we used today. Man, it was a cavalcade of products. Number one, the thing I already had, which is the Gillette Aristocrat. As I said, not as comfortable as I remember, but man, I've had some excellent shave this week. Just very, very close to BBS. Maybe you can see right there, just a little touch. All right. Now, the soap. This is the Henri et Victoria. This is the Chestnut L'Orange. A very simple soap recipe, but still very slick, very easy to lather. I really like the scent of this. I think the scent is either discontinued or it's continued, but it's not available in some of the aftershave products, which is a shame because this really smells fantastic. Very nice soap. For me, a little bit drying on the post-shave, but that's simply because maybe the ingredients themselves don't lend to that kind of a sort of a fatty skin conditioning post-shave feel. Otherwise, very good. And yes, I'll try to get to the V2 version of that base. The pre-shave for today doesn't look like much, but it is the pre-shave oil from the same company. A little bit thick, a little bit viscous, so if you're looking for like a really good add-on layer and you find the pre-shave oils do help you get a better shave, then certainly try those out. I know this is going to look just like it did before, just with less in it. This is the Aftershave Splash from Henri Victoria. This is the Cuban Cigars and Cognac, or Cognac and Cuban Cigars, I think is what it's actually called. Today's brush, swoosh. Look at that. Man, that was just fantastic how I did that. This is the Zenith B03-A26. God, I hope I got that right. So much for easy to remember nomenclatures and brush numbers. This is an aluminum handle. This knot is fantastic, by the way. So if you thought last week's was like, nah, that's not for me, but I do want to buy a Zenith boar brush, I would go for one of these. I don't know how you're going to tell the various knots apart. Maybe there's something on the site where they will help you do that. But if you're looking for this knot in particular, go for this B03-A26. Very, very nice boar knot. Great choice. And I am sad to send it back, but of course I will do what I'm supposed to, and I will send it back and likely pick one up for myself. Is that really it? I showed you all guys all the Dopp Kit at the beginning. Unfortunately, I will not be able to provide a review of my own for that, but hopefully if my colleague uses it and he can provide some feedback after the fact, I'll come back and let you guys know how that worked out. Well, I think that is really it. Thank you again, as always, so much for watching. I really appreciate the time you're taking to watch these videos. As always, please feel free to leave comments or questions against this video or any previous video. And again, thank you so much. And until next time, goodbye.